So I'm doing, 70 down the highway. And trying to, drive and steer and change the battery. And he's like, do you need some help? No, I'm fine. I'm a highly trained professional. It'll be good. And then I'm thinking to myself, this is how it goes down. I'm going to be known as the guy that killed Dick Heller. Like a one-car accident. All right, before we start this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie, I want to thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you guys for being here, for watching the show on YouTube, for watching the show on Rumble. If you have not subscribed to either of those, please do. If you are looking for new cell carrier service, you should check out Patriot Mobile and use the discount code RSWC. And if you are looking for legal defense for self-defense, check out US Law Shield. And again there, you can use the discount code RSWC. You get 14 months for the price of 12. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy the show, please share with your friends. That is how we get the Stagecoach across America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Riding Shotgun with Charlie. Today we are in the home state of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I have with me Toby Leary.
What's up, man?
You are the toast of the Commonwealth. You are the one out here that's busting your tail, and we are going to talk about the Civil Rights Coalition and all the stuff that you're doing to fight Chapter 135 here in the Commonwealth, and fight Maura Healey and all of the nonsense that is going on here.
All the stuff.
Oh, all of the stuff.
Yeah.
This is weird for me because I don't really do current issues on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I am happy to do what I can to get the word out so that people vote no on 9, which is the ballot question that we have.
Yep.
So let's talk about all this. When did all of this nonsense start in Massachusetts?
It started on my birthday 2 years ago.
Thank you.
July 18th, 2022. 2024. Actually, let me back way up. And Ron Mariano, the Speaker of the House, wants to put a feather in his cap as he goes into retirement, which I don't know when that's going to be, that he became the most anti-gun, anti-civil rights Speaker of the House ever in the history of Massachusetts. So he tasked Michael Day, who ironically considers himself a civil rights attorney. And he graduated from UMass Amherst. He's state rep out of Stoneham, Massachusetts. And he is the basically architect or author who put his name to the bill that became known as H 4885. This followed an 11-stop listening tour. And I say listening because this is how he was listening. He had his fingers so deep in his ears, he couldn't hear the peasantry that came out and said, "We aren't your problem.
Right.
Go after the bad guys."
It is hard to hear when your head is that far in your tuchus.
Yeah, right. That's right. He did the full keister of his head in his you-know-what.
Right, the cranial rectal insertion.
Right.
Yeah.
He had it down. So, 11 listening tour stops. I was on like the
you were
5th or 4th.
Yeah,
or
you were
something.
one of them.
I was one of the panelists on them.
They brought you all the way from the Cape to Western Mass.
Yeah, they put me like 3 hours away or 4 hours away on purpose. They didn't have me in like Brockton or even the one in West Barnstable. The first one was at the Cape Cod Community College.
It would have been great.
Yeah, I could have been there like 5 minutes from the shop, but no. But one thing that was very encouraging to me, Charlie, was how many people came out, and after all the red shirts kind of ran out of their talking points, their baseless arguments, their emotional arguments, which I say that not to cast aspersions. There are people who have horrible things that have happened to them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm very empathetic and sympathetic to that, and would love to talk with them on a human
level.
Right?
For sure. Oh my gosh.
And but what they've done is they've weaponized that, and unfortunately, they don't even realize that they are a pawn on the board for the anti-civil rights groups and anti-gun groups.
Yeah.
To perpetuate their victimhood. And that's what they did. They tell a horrible story, and this is why. Well, none of that is going to bring their loved one back, or repair their wounds, or prevent any future crime, because you can't snap your fingers and make 400 million guns disappear in America. So even if you could do the bewitched twinkle your nose and get 400 million guns to disappear, and now all of a sudden we're this utopian society where, rainbows and unicorns are prancing in the streets.
Right.
Well, the problem is evil still exists, and bad guys are going to do bad things with regular objects,
whatever tools they can, whether it's a rock, a stone, a knife.
Yeah. So I'm getting like deep in the weeds to a simple question that you asked me: when did all this start? So, after the 11th listening tour stop ended, miraculously 3 weeks later, 140-something page bill surfaces.
140 pages. Now, I remember talking with Mike Harris from Goal about this. He said he tried reaching out to Mariana, not to Rep Day, and Rep Day was like, "Oh, we don't know. We don't have anything. We don't have anything. We don't have anything." And then one day, Mike Day put out a picture of him with Gabby Giffords.
And I bet you one thing, that photo probably had a check attached to it.
Fat check.
Big
not one
fat
of those
check,
not one of those, poster board things that you get at the at a game show. Yeah.
It was you do the right thing, there's more where this came from. Check.
Right.
Yeah. And sure enough, he
140
pulls out a 140 odd page bill that was definitely in the hopper. And actually, they outed themselves, because on Halloween we had a
we had a hearing.
We had a hearing at the State House, and Rep what the heck's his name, the perennial gun banner,
Linsky.
David Linsky, said this bill has been in the works for 10 years.
Whoops.
He didn't coordinate with Mike Day about that.
He didn't
Mike
get
Day
the
said
talking
there's
points.
nothing on the table. We just want to get this right. We just want to modernize and update the gun laws for Massachusetts. Because doesn't that sound like a logical thing for the legislature
absolutely. To do? Let's modernize it and modernize it and update it.
And in the legislature, in all of its wisdom, the only solution for reduction of violent crime in Massachusetts is to make sure that the people who don't commit the crime are encumbered with more hurdles and barriers and hoops to jump through to exercise a God-given right, or a constitutional right that's been there since 1791. That doesn't sound very efficient. In fact, I can think of no other constitutional right that has been treated the same way.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of no other fix for a societal woe, whatever it is, that you would treat the same way. A perfect example is like drunk driving, right? If you want to reduce drunk driving, using this logic, you would make it harder for sober people,
for the teetotalers,
to get cars,
alcohol,
right? No, to get cars. You would make a background check process. You would make these sober drivers go down to the DMV, have to book an appointment, schedule their road test after getting fingerprinted and photographed like a mugshot, and telling the chief licensing officer why they would like to exercise their right to drive in Massachusetts, and giving 3 references and paying a fee after taking a government-mandated class, which would tell them where they could and couldn't operate their motor vehicle. And then when they're all said and done, they would receive said license that would expire after a period of time. And guess what? It wouldn't reduce drunk driving one iota.
Not one bit.
And that's the problem with Chapter 135. It targets the wrong people. Mm-hmm. It targets the lawful, peaceful people. And believe me, gun owners in Massachusetts, I wish I had a nickel for every guy who's called our shop in the last 2 years to say, how do I register my guns? Because Chapter 135 says you have to register your guns. And they're going to beat the doors down to the State House to figure out how to register their guns. They are the most lawful, peaceful people on the face of the planet to a fault.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, I guess, yeah, we're going to have to deal with that. But the truth of the matter is, it is a constant solution in search of a problem. And they know that. These aren't dumb people.
Right.
Michael Day is not an idiot. Ron Mariano is not an idiot, as much as I like to call him that. But the truth of the matter is, they know this has nothing to do with safety. They know this has nothing to do with reducing crime.
Yeah.
This, on its face, is using people who have had horrible, tragic events happen to them as pawns on their chessboard to eradicate a constitutional right. Mm-hmm. And that's where we are.
So let's talk about some of the new requirements that we have and how they've really panned out to be nothing. I'll say this: first of all, I was thinking this when you were talking about the 3 references. How many people have you been a reference for on their LTC? Hundreds. Have you ever received a phone call or a message about it?
I don't believe I have.
I don't believe so. Right. I've done the same thing for friends, for people that have taken classes with me. Hey, can I use you for a reference? Absolutely. I think they think having a gun instructor or a police officer is going to help the application process. I don't know if it does or not, because I've never, ever been contacted by anyone that's used me for a reference. On the flip side, and I'm not going to say anything nice about New Jersey, because they can screw too. But when I applied for a New Jersey non-res permit, the 2 people that I used as a reference got an email and had a questionnaire that they had to fill out online. I just did the same thing for another friend of mine, Alan Lau, who was one of the guys on the show. I'm sure you know Alan.
Yeah, I know Alan.
I was reference for him for his Jersey permit, right? I get the email right away. You got to fill this form out, answer the questions. They don't do any of this stuff.
No.
But the other stuff that we've had to do is we've had to, how it affects the law-abiding folks is we've had to come up with suicide prevention, disengagement training, as they like to call it.
Yeah.
Which they changed to use of force. And we had to have a 25-question test, and we had to do live fire as part of the exam. And I think what really jerks my chain about the live fire is you're making people do a proficiency test on the day that you're putting a gun in their hand. So they've never fired before, and it's not that people can't learn how to shoot in one day, but you're giving them a proficiency test on how to shoot and whatnot. But they don't have a chance to do this before. So if we could buy guns without having to have a license, then maybe people could be more proficient when they have to do a test. But you're taking people that haven't had guns before, that haven't fired, that might be concerned about holding a gun, might be nervous and scared, and saying, hey, you need to be proficient with this. This is nonsense.
There's actually a side of the things that, I don't want to give the right people the wrong idea, but I believe it actually makes us less safe, because they argue that this proficiency test or being able to shoot 1 round, that's the minimum requirement for the state, fire at least one round has, because everybody should be able to fire a gun. If they're going to carry a permit, they should know how to use it, right? No one argues that point. But the truth of the matter is, the people who go out and fire that 1 round and hit the target, and what if they got a bullseye?
Right.
Now all of a sudden they're like, dang, I'm good. And I've seen that with the live fire testing requirements or the live fire class to get your license to carry. You got 10 rounds out of a SR-22 and they hit 9 in the circle, and one of them was a bullseye, and one of them missed a page, but they don't care. All of a sudden, they're like, I'm good.
Right.
They might never do live fire training ever again.
Absolutely.
And because they took the state-mandated live fire LTC class, and I am good to go. And now they carry a gun in the public. It should be the onus on the industry, the gun owners, the firearms manufacturers, the gun shop owners, to say, hey, glad to see you're a new owner. Welcome aboard. There's a big tent that we welcome everybody who wants to exercise their right to keep and bear arms. Have you taken a live fire class that goes beyond what the state mandates? Have you taken a, defensive shooting class of any kind? No. Well, you should. If you're going to carry a gun in the public or stage one in the home for defensive purposes, you should. You're crazy not to. And that should be coming from us.
Yeah.
And so I believe those live fire mandates make us less safe, number one. And number two is actually a more dangerous situation that has already happened to us at Cape Gunworks. And that was, I got a call from somebody panicked because they said their friend was suicidal, had signed up for a class, and was going to off themselves in our live fire class as soon as they're handed the gun.
That's crazy.
That's the law of unintended consequences, right?
Yeah,
We're making
absolutely.
everybody safe, and we have 10 or 15 people out on a firing line that just witnessed somebody who's going through a mental health crisis.
Right.
Do that would be horrible.
Yeah.
And horrific. So we went into like crisis mode. We've never even had to really deal with that, and wondered like, what the heck, And so we started calling around. I called the person that made that call, and I said, what's going on? And it was, a total mental health breakdown and crisis. And we were all prepared to call that person and say, hey, we got some concerns for you, and we're going to have to refund your money. But fortunately, that person called us and said they were going through a mental health crisis, and they changed their mind and wanted a refund. And we're like, oh, thank you. Okay. But still, that was something that I don't think they've thought through, right?
Oh God, of course they didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I have my crazy thought is this: if you're not, and I don't think you should have to have a qualification, but if you're going to do a qualification, I'm like, let's make it the FBI qualification, and then let people that pass background checks and prove proficiency.
My house right down there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you are so close to work. I have no idea what it's like to live that close to work. Let them do the FBI qualification, and then let them carry every place the FBI can carry. How about that?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right? Like, let's do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're way off in the deep. Let's get back to they had the gun law listening tour.
Right.
You decided to get, you and some others, I'm sure, decided to get the referendum going.
Yep.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the coalition, all the stuff the coalition's up and doing.
So the good news is the people are sick of being the whipping post for the lawmakers on Beacon Hill who say they are the arbiter of what you can and can't do with your constitutionally protected rights. We kind of rose. It was like a grassroots effort. You were one of the original 10 signers to get this ball rolling. And man, oh man,
right.
You did it in style.
Yeah.
Well, I came in with my 3 signed and notarized. And, envelopes, blah, blah, blah. And mine was rejected, but, thankfully.
I pulled a little piece of paper out of my pocket. I unfolded it, rolled it up against the corner of the table like you do in school. Here you go. And they're like, oh, thank you very much. This is great.
And mine were all like, I am not good with paper. Those things were pristine.
Oh my
They didn't even have a folded corner, and they were in their envelope, and I guarded those with my life. And I actually had to pay for them.
Right.
I paid $10 per copy, so I paid $30 out of pocket only to have my signature rejected at the State House. But anyway, I digress. got a good thing going, and that was that, hey, under Article 48 of the state constitution, a citizen's petition can repeal or make law. It can also change other aspects, recall politicians, although some are exempt. So we decided to do a citizen's petition to repeal and suspend Chapter 135 of the Acts of 2024 in its entirety, and it required 10 signers. And then once we did that, we needed to get 35,000 signatures that were certified by the Secretary of State.
Right.
And that would get us on the ballot.
Here, we're gonna turn
up here.
No, we're gonna keep going a little bit. So this building right here, I wish I had the hood cam going. I waited tables at this place in the summer of 1991.
No kidding.
It was the Sandy Neck Grill.
That's awesome.
I used to live on Cranberry Trail, which is the next road up here.
Okay.
I lived on Cranberry Trail for the summer. I worked at the Sandy Neck Grill. Waited tables. This is when I discovered I was not cut out for food service. Anyway.
That's funny.
Be that as it may, I wanted to stop here.
Yeah, that's a good trip down memory lane.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know. Good times, man. Good times. Yeah, here's the
Sandy Neck.
Sandy Neck. Yeah, I lived right. Jeez. Let's go up here. Here's Cranberry Trail.
Cranberry Trail.
Cranberry Trail.
I don't think I've ever been down this road.
Oh, the Sandy Neck Beach is down this way.
Yeah, I've been down that a million times.
Yeah, went down there and got sunburned one time. And that's what I'm like, you know what? I knew I wasn't a beach person, but I still went and did this. And we don't have the hood cam, but this is
the place, huh?
This is it.
Wow.
This is where I spent one summer of my life.
Very cool.
Which was more than enough. But be that as it may. All right, back to the coalition. You needed 35,000 signatures.
35,000 signatures to get on the ballot, and we needed 49,716, but who's counting, to get the bill suspended until the 2026 election.
Yeah.
So we set out, rolled up our sleeves, and pointed everybody in the right direction. But one thing that was so remarkable is everybody was so charged up, Charlie. The gun owners in Massachusetts were like, where do I sign? I had people driving down from Boston to come to my shop, pen in hand, like ready to sign. We didn't even have petitions yet.
Jeez.
They were like, where do we sign? I'm like, guys, we don't have the petitions yet. They're like, let us know, we'll be back. And so this grassroots movement, which I think is one of the most significant in our state history, because we were able to get 100,000 signatures in 5 weeks without a single paid signature gatherer being employed.
Incredible.
And I just had Chris Stone from GOA up at the shop for a fundraiser for the Civil Rights Coalition a couple weeks ago. He goes, I have been involved in politics my entire life. Since I was a kid. He used to go to political events and everything else and do signs and door knocking and call banks and all this. He goes, I've done tons of signature campaigns. I've never heard of those kind of numbers without paid signature gatherers.
Wow.
He goes, that is remarkable.
Yeah.
And that is just a testimony of the people of Massachusetts who are sick and tired of being blamed with every negative outcome of the firearm when they're not the ones to blame. But maybe the people who passed the law and then have soft on crime policies and the revolving door justice system and habitual repeat violent offenders back out on the street in no time, maybe they're to blame. Just throwing out a little...
Just throwing that out.
Yeah, throwing it out there. But, so, here's something else that happened that was unprecedented, which was once it became apparent, and going back to Michael Day, he was like almost mocking us at first, like, we'll see how many signatures they get. 35,000 signatures is not a small task.
Right.
And 49,716 is a remarkable accomplishment. as soon as it became apparent to the Secretary of State that we were going to easily surpass that number, Maura Healey kicked in. And she got to work, and 71 days after signing this bill into law, she added what's known as an emergency preamble. An emergency preamble is for the peace, the health, the safety, and the convenience of the public. It's for emerging conditions. If you had a storm whip in, or you had, a tidal wave that, wiped us off the map.
Right.
If you have some breakout of some sort of disease or whatever, you have a horrible heat wave or a drought or a famine or a hurricane, that's an emergent condition. That's what the emergency preamble is for. Not when things are just status quo and everyday normal. That isn't what that is for. She abused her power to do this, and she did it in an unprecedented way 71 days after signing it into law, when she knew we were going to be successful to get this suspended. She jumps into action, signs an emergency preamble, which means we can't suspend the law until Election Day. So she literally short-circuited the democratic process that was taking place in her state. That's unprecedented. That is for the convenience of the political ruling class, not for the public.
Yeah.
And she should be ashamed of herself. She violated her oath of office just by signing this law into effect. And then she further doubles down on her willingness to trample the Constitution and willingness to trample the rights of the citizens of Massachusetts under Article 48 and violate the democratic process taking place in her. And ironically, she loves that phrase. It's a threat to democracy.
Oh, yeah, please.
But yet she was threatening democracy.
Right. This is what the tyrants say.
Right.
She's completely being a tyrant, running roughshod over the law-abiding, I'm saying the law-abiding, but the responsible citizens that aren't the ones that are breaking the law. We're going to have to deal with all this infringement. The thing that I thought was completely nuts is when they slid into another bill that the training requirements were going to be postponed or suspended for a year and a half, and then 17 months into the 18-month time frame, they had butt kiss. All right, hey, what are you guys doing for classes? Send us your curriculum. Maybe we'll approve it. Send us your live fire exam. Maybe we'll approve it. Send us your written exam. This reminds me of the Seinfeld episode where Kramer ended up getting the number 555 Filk, right? Instead of 555 film, and he sat there and he was answering the phone calls for the people that were calling to find out what's on. Tell me what movie you'd like to see, and I'll tell you where it's at, as he sat there and read the newspaper. It's exactly that. Tell us what you want for a class. We'll.
Yeah, it's and the thing about that emergency preamble was it went into effect immediately. Most laws take 90 days, 71 days, and it goes into effect immediately. If she had allowed the suspension, we would have been doing the state a favor, because they wouldn't have had that egg on their face. Yeah. And they would have said, well, the people have spoken. We're going to let it play out at the election. But you know how they are. They can't let go of power.
Yeah.
And because they clutch their pearls because they're tyrants. And so they wanted to make sure they short-circuit that process. But you're 100% right, Charlie. They suspended all the parts of the bill that they could not implement because it was unfunded, because there was no curriculums, because they didn't know who was going to do what, because they couldn't put pen to paper, right? And so all of those things, they suspended it and made it sound like it was a win for you.
Right.
Oh, don't worry about that. Even to this day, they redefined what a firearm is in Massachusetts. Now, basically, if it goes bang, it's a firearm. Shotguns, rifles, they're all firearms. If you read the law, there has to be an approved firearms roster. So now there's this requirement for them to make this roster of guns that we can sell. They're like, don't worry about that. Whatever you could sell before, you can continue to sell as long as it is an assault-style weapon.
Of course.
So if it's an assault-style weapon, you're going to go straight to jail. Don't collect $200. You're going to we're going to throw you in the clink. But everything else, don't worry about that silly roster. Come on.
This is like the Blues Brothers.
It really is.
At the country bunker. These are requests. These mean nothing.
Yeah, it really does.
Right, and then gun stores, gun stores like yours were in like, can we sell long guns or not long guns? Because long guns are now firearms, and we have an approved firearms roster, but long guns aren't on there. Oh, don't worry about that. It's what the law is, but that's not what we meant. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
We'll collect these guns later.
So they can bend the law and not comply with the law on their side all they want.
Yep.
But do you think they're going to let you and I get away with that if we don't comply with the other aspects of the law?
Oh, of course not.
If you violate the technical aspects of Chapter 135, whatever that means, because no one really knows.
Nobody knows.
They are going to arrest and prosecute, and the process will be the punishment. And guess what? They don't really care.
They don't care.
I actually had a cop tell me the other day, made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. He's asking me about certain this with that, and with an FID card, can you own that, and blah, blah, blah. And I said something like, you know what? Nobody really knows. But he goes, I guess arrest and charge and let the courts figure it out.
Yeah, that's encouraging.
Yeah, arrest, charge, and let the courts figure it out. That's our SOP in Massachusetts for lawful, peaceful people who've already jumped through all the hoops to get their FID card, who've paid the fee, who've taken the class, who've been interviewed, who got fingerprinted and photographed,
past background checks.
And passed the background check. Yeah, and then they did their 4473.
Passed another background check.
And now, arrest, prosecute, and let the court figure it out.
Unbelievable. I saw an article this morning. And what is today? August 17th, 2026. I saw an article this morning that there was a 14-year-old that got caught with an AK pistol. A 14-year-old. It's already illegal for a 14-year-old to have anything, a rifle, a shotgun, or a handgun. They don't have an FID card, and they're not doing anything lawful or legal with it. They're committing crimes. And I call it a Chapter 135 success, because it's not doing anything to stop this from happening. Because all this stuff was illegal before 135.
Yeah. We have had some of the most high-profile failures of Chapter 135.
Oh yeah, including the guy in Cambridge.
Yeah.
On Memorial Drive.
Memorial Drive, perfect example. That guy was an armed career criminal. He was asked by the DA to do and by the way, the DA was disgraced Rachel Rollins. She's was run out of town. She's running for re-election now, but
she should run for governor.
She asked the judge for a 15-year sentence. Why, might you ask? Because he had shot at 2 police officers
3 years ago.
Emptied his whole magazine, 13-round magazine. Wait a minute.
Those are the extra killy ones.
Yeah, but we don't have those in Massachusetts.
Right.
And he had a Glock pistol in Afghanistan. That's illegal.
Afghanistan.
And he was an armed career criminal based on what happened in 2010. So by the time he, in 2020, fired 13 rounds and tried to kill 2 police officers, he was, with the sentence stacking on the Armed Career Criminal Act, he should have been doing a mandatory minimum. I'm not very good at math, but I can add some big numbers together. Right. A mandatory minimum of 40 years.
40 years.
Under the Armed Career Criminal Act in Massachusetts. DA Rollins asked for 15 years. The judge gave him 5. And you'll never believe what the Mass Parole Board did.
Let him go early.
3.5 years into his 5-year sentence, he's out on the streets again.
Unbelievable.
And had no problem acquiring an AR pistol with those 30-round magazines. Mm-hmm. And he said, "You're going to know me by my mass shooter name." Yeah. This is the failure of Chapter 135 on full display for the world to see. How it failed to make anybody safe. In fact, the armed citizen who confronted him had to reach into the back seat, get his gun out of a safe, because it's locked in a safe.
Right. He had
and he's limited to 10 rounds.
A Glock 43 with 7 rounds?
7 rounds in the mag, 1 in the chamber. So he's got 8 rounds to stop this total
madman,
psychopath with extra magazines, who fired, I think, 59 rounds down Memorial Drive.
59 rounds?
Yeah, 59 rounds on Memorial Drive in Cambridge in broad daylight.
In broad daylight.
With guns that you and I wouldn't be legally able to acquire.
Yeah, right.
It's just madness. And so the failure of Chapter 135 goes to show how it only levels the gun of government violence against lawful, peaceful people like Kyle Collada, like Scott LaPon, like the woman who's a nurse from Connecticut, like the woman who's from New Hampshire who drove. Actually, was heading to New Hampshire from a southern state, and is facing years in jail. And she's done nothing wrong. She's legally able to own the gun in her home state, legally able to own the gun in New Hampshire, and Chapter 135 even says that you can carry the gun through the state. But again, arrest, prosecute, and let the court
figure it out.
Oh yeah, it says right there in Chapter 135 that she can use it as an affirmative defense that she has the lawful ability to carry that gun through state of Massachusetts.
Right.
Did it stop her from getting arrested? No. And worse is the prosecutors are saying, well, we'll let you plea it down to a misdemeanor.
Right.
Why would you want a criminal record of any kind if you're innocent?
What did you do wrong?
Right.
I obeyed the laws.
And all these technical violations do is, bankrupt good people, turn their life upside down for the Hofflephobic approach to gun ownership in Massachusetts. And that is, our government has an irrational fear of firearms, or so they say. We know they really don't, but they use it to prey on the low information voters or emotionally charged people and perpetuate victimhood status. And it is awful because, frankly, they have, in my opinion, lost their ability to continue in their job because they violated their oath of office. They swore an oath to protect the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
And then they walk into their chambers and posit or proffer a bill that is 100% antithetical to those people's rights and the oath that they just swore.
Yeah.
That should be an instant disqualifier from ever holding public office again.
Absolutely.
And yet they are rewarded for their bad behavior time and time again in a state like Massachusetts. It's unbelievable.
It is.
So fast forward.
Yeah, let's talk about the coalition.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the good stuff that you're working on.
The good stuff is we have been endorsed by the Mass GOP,
Nice.
which is huge because I hate the fact that this has become a political issue. Like, I believe Democrats, Independents, Republicans, Libertarians, Communist, Socialists of America all have a right to keep and bear arms, right?
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is the Democrat Party in Massachusetts has on page 6 of their official party platform, they want to repeal and replace the Second Amendment with strong and meaningful gun control. They're not even trying to hide it.
Oh my God.
So juxtapose that with the Mass GOP saying, this is wrong. And by the way, I don't think it should be I think it should be worth mentioning that there was bipartisan opposition to this bill and not bipartisan support. This was voted upon party lines, but there was bipartisan opposition. If one Republican had voted for it, I promise every article that's ever been written about it would lead with bipartisan, support. But they don't have that luxury.
I remember seeing some old video of Nancy Pelosi say one Republican is with us, therefore it's bipartisan. Right?
100%.
This is an old video. Yeah.
100%. And so look at the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. I think there were 5 Republicans that joined over, and now it's the bipartisan. So whatever, not to get deep in the weeds on politics.
Right.
But I do think it's worth mentioning that there is a party in Massachusetts that hates your rights and wants to revise them for strong and meaningful gun control. and then another party that has said, we are endorsing the Civil Rights Coalition's ballot committee and want to see it repealed in its entirety. So we had that. I spoke at the Mass GOP convention in favor of...
over the summer.
Yeah.
That was big, man.
Yeah, it was. And I was honored to speak. I would speak at the Democratic convention too if they would endorse our repeal, you know?
Yeah.
Again, I hate that this has become political as far as the political parties are concerned. But one thing that's really, really noteworthy, Charlie, is that we did a poll by the McLaughlin Group. This is a national pollster. And they interviewed a wide variety of people in Massachusetts that identify as likely voters in the 2026 election.
Yeah.
Out of the likely voters, the breakdown was 60% identified as left-leaning or moderate, 40% is conservative. Out of that, the demographics of that was 10% were Republicans, 30% were Democrats, and 60% were unenrolled. And out of those likely voters, 73% said they support the right to keep and bear arms in the Second Amendment.
Unbelievable.
So this is not as political as you may think.
Right.
A lot of people just don't get the opportunity to vote for a pro-gun candidate in the state of Massachusetts because they are left-leaning.
Right.
And they know they're not going to vote for the Republican or the right-leaning person. So therefore, they're going to pull the trigger every time for the Democrat. And unfortunately, the Democrat has taken hostility towards the Second Amendment. So they have zero outlet or zero voice, except for this election. November 3rd, they can vote to repeal Chapter 135. It's question number 9, vote no on 9, and it'll repeal it in its entirety. And so those people are finally excited to have a straight up and down Second Amendment issue that isn't tied to a political party.
Yeah.
It's not tied to a candidate. So by them voting no on 9, they're not electing the next MAGA Republican, right?
Right.
They're just restoring a little bit of their constitutionally enumerated rights. The old shop.
Yeah.
There's the old shop right there.
Very cool, man.
And that's where it all began. Cape Gunworks. So we have a lot going on. We have an auction coming up.
Yeah, let's talk about the stuff that's coming up because
Yep.
we're going to get this out in time for all of it.
Yeah. We have a bunch of symposiums that are going to happen. One is in South Hadley, Mass. One is at UMass Amherst. I'll be speaking, obviously, for the pro to repeal Chapter 135. And the opposition will probably come and give their spiel on why they think this should continue. But so there's a couple of symposiums coming up, which I think is great. I wish they were true debates because then we could have some back and forth, but I don't think that's the way it'll play out.
Even so, the going back to the gun law listening tours, there was one woman, I went to 8 of them. There was one woman that stood up and said she didn't know anything about this until that day. And she said she was completely shocked to find out a 15-year-old can buy a shotgun and just walk down the street. Yeah, and I got up to talk, and I'm like, well, first of all, the 15-year-old has to have some training, has to have their parents' permission, and you can't just walk down the road with a shotgun. You have to be hunting, and
they're not buying it.
Yeah, right. Of course.
Yeah,
of course they can't even buy it.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Anyway, so you got the symposiums going on.
Yeah. So symposiums, get the word out like that, and then we have this massive fundraiser on September 18th that you can participate in if you're watching this video, because we're going to get all the guns uploaded on a site and it's going to go live well before the live auction. So you can bid from anywhere in the country.
Anywhere in the country. Cool.
And there are some amazing guns that we have. We have Smith & Wesson donated the 1854 lever action rifle and 44 Magnum.
Cool.
And a matched Model 29, and they both have high-level burled wood. They're engraved. They're 1 of 100 set. You can't buy these in stores. These are only for this type of situation. And it's number 24 of 100. And Smith & Wesson donated it as part of the fundraiser. Ruger donated a few guns. We have Cam 4 Inc., a Massachusetts-based distributor out of Westfield. They donated a couple guns. We have private citizens who've donated guns.
Cool.
One gentleman donated a $6,500 Falcor Omega in 6.5 Creedmoor.
Nice.
I donated my personal favorite gun. And I didn't want to just ask everyone else to do this. I put my money or my gun where my mouth is and said, for the right reasons, you do that, by the way. You don't want to put your gun near your mouth for any other reason.
Of course.
But the truth of the matter is, this gun was very special to me. I custom ordered it from Nighthawk Customs. It's a custom-made Nighthawk GRP Commander. It's cut for a red dot optic. It's 9mm. It's a Commander length. It's in smoke nitride finish. It has hand-stippled top strap of the gun. It's got a flat face trigger, a recon rail. It's got the French border cut all the way around it. It is absolutely beautiful. It's a work of art. It took 2.5 years for me to get it.
Wow.
And it's my most prized gun in my collection. I'm donating it to the cause so that other people will feel the same kind of
importance
pull on how important this is, because if we can raise enough money at this fundraiser to really go hard the whole month of October, I believe we win this and win it big.
That would be fantastic. And you just had the Nighthawk guys up at the shop too, didn't you?
They were just here Saturday,
Yeah.
And they were blown away that I was donating this gun. And because they're like, dude, this took
crazy?
Took like 2.5 years for you to get it. And I said, I know, but this is how important this is to me. And I would urge everyone, if you got that, gun that, don't get me wrong, don't give away your first gun you ever bought or whatever, that type of thing, or the gun your dad gave you. But if you have a gun that's a really nice gun, or a gun that is unique or special, or it's got something different about it, and you want to donate it, we will gladly accept your donation, and all the money.
What do we do? We go straight.
You can take a right, and that'll bring you back.
Gotcha.
But yeah, donate the gun. All the money will go to the Civil Rights Coalition, and we can win this. Win it big. That's really. And by the way, this will be a shot over the bow. I call it the second shot heard around the world. If and when we win on November 3rd, because there's about 25 to 28 states that have a ballot initiative process, like Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And when they see how successful we are in a blue state like Massachusetts, man, oh man.
That could get everyone else riled up.
Right.
Yeah.
Like now, because what has our fight been to date? It's been donate to FPC, very important, by the way.
Yep.
GOA, your state organization like GOAL, SAF, 2AO, all these groups, right? NAGR, and let them go to court and fight our battle for us. We've been saying in Massachusetts here that nobody's coming to save us because we have the worst circuit court in America. And you get these groups, raising money's hard. They're going to go to the 5th Circuit. They're going to now go to the 3rd Circuit. They're going to even go to the 9th Circuit before they come to the 1st Circuit because it's a automatic L. So the technique in Massachusetts is lose, and hope and pray the Supreme Court gives you cert. That's your only option. That doesn't sound very smart because you've made 2 bad precedents along the way, and then, you probably won't get granted cert at the Supreme Court. So it's a better use of dollars elsewhere to go to the 4th Circuit or 3rd Circuit or the 5th Circuit or even the 9th Circuit. Path to victory is much better. So I said all that to say this. When we win in November, now we've just opened up a whole new avenue for we the people The true fountain of power, as Madison said in Federalist 49, is the people. We just opened up this whole new avenue where it's not just send money, go to court, hire lawyers, and watch this 10-year process of, appeal and remand and rehear and all that, go back and forth, which is very important. All of that is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
But we, the people, are the true fountain of power. Let's go and show government that we still are the true fountain. We are more important than the legislature. We are more important than the judiciary. We are more important than the executive branch, because nothing gets done without us. And if you read the Massachusetts Constitution, it says that the people, whenever their happiness requires it, can abolish our entire form of government.
Really?
It's what it says, Article 6.
When the happiness?
When our happiness demands it. And we are getting
close.
Very, very close.
Very close.
To the people of Massachusetts being extremely unhappy with their government, whether fill in the blank or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just one of the massive avenues that we can wield our power as the true fountain of power, we the people. It's been often said in our founding fathers that we are the fourth branch of government and the most important branch of government, because we are a nation that is built upon self-governance, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And unfortunately, the usurpation of our rights has been a thing in the past 100 years. And now it's time to wake up, shake off the Stockholm syndrome, like what's happened in Massachusetts, and say, you know what? We're done. We're done with this.
No
it's
mas.
time to repeal it.
I love it. All right, listen, we need to wrap it up.
I know.
Where can people find all of the Civil Rights Coalition stuff?
Yeah, you can follow our work at thecivilrightscoalition.com.
Mm-hmm.
Head there, sign up to volunteer, sign up for our newsletter, donate. We will use your money very wisely. We run frugal. We are a lean and mean operation. We're not one of these groups that gets government taxpayer dollars like our opposition does, by the way. But we will put the money to good work, and we will win this on November 3rd. So thecivilrightscoalition.com.
Yep.
You can stay up to date with all the events going on our calendar, and sign up for the newsletter. It'll be awesome, and let's win it, and win it big.
Dude, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
This is a pleasure. We're going to put some, this is the only camera that's on.
All right.
We're going to put some links below for all this stuff. Join the Second Amendment Foundation at saf.org. The link's going to be below. We're going to have links to all the coalition stuff below. We appreciate you guys watching the show. If you've made it this far, share with your friends, because that is how we get the stagecoach across America. We will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.